How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the top 5 cheap, fast and economical diesel cars that you can buy for less than £6,000. You guys have been asking for this video for such a long time now, and even though I'm more of a petrol guy, not that I'm anti-diesel in any way, I just have always been focused more on petrol cars, I thought it was worth making the video. What you'll see in this video is a bunch of cars with a lot of torque and, funnily enough, quite a lot of reliability. Topic of the week this week, sticking to the theme of economy, what is your car's fuel economy? So mine is theoretically 47 miles per gallon on the Polo, which basically means that all of these cars are about as economical, and yet they're at least 3 or 4 times quicker. I'm doing something wrong. Let me know what your car's fuel economy is and we'll have a chat about it in the comments. As always, remember that I make these videos from the UK market perspective, so prices in other countries may differ, and remember that whenever you're buying a second-hand car, although these diesel ones are pretty good, reliability is very important. Look at the maintenance, repairs, insurance, all that kind of stuff before you decide to make any purchasing decision. With all that being said, remember to like, comment and subscribe, but without further ado, let's get into the video. Starting us off at number 5, we have the Volvo C30 D5 R-Design, which hosts a turbocharged 2.4 litre inline-5 engine that puts out 177 brake horsepower, 400 Nm of torque, and does 0 to 60 in 7.5 seconds. Not massively quick, there are certainly some quicker diesels out there for the money, but still quite respectable for a car which generally can be insured quite cheaply. And you'll still get a solid 45 miles per gallon, making it the joint most economical car on this list. The D5 R-Design is basically the top of the range diesel in the C30 lineup. R-Design is an evolution of the R Volvos like the A550R, which usually adds sportier styling both inside and out, more horsepower and stiffer suspension. You can generally spot an R-Design Volvo from a distance by its silver or black mirror covers, which makes life a bit easier. The C30 was produced between 2006 and 2013 and only had a single generation, though the Volvo SCC concept car acted as a pre-C30 concept. The car is based on the same platform as the Ford Focus and has an interesting design in my opinion, with the glass rear hatch that takes design cues from the P1800 ES and 480 Volvos of old. I actually really like the look of the C30 personally, and it looks like an excellent base for modding. In fact, at SEMA in 2006, 3 heavily modded concept versions of the C30 were unveiled. The Evolve with a twin turbo engine, all-wheel drive and race suspension and brakes, the IPD which has a supercharged engine, a nitrous tank, gull-wing doors, Alcantara seat and Alpine audio system, and the Heiko HS3 Thor, which has a turbocharged engine, Haldex all-wheel drive and a focus on off-roading. All 3 look insane. And even though I like the look of the C30, one thing I'd point out is that the interior is pretty empty. Some might call it clean, some might call it minimalist, but I actually just think it's a little bit boring. It's kind of like they made this super nice exterior, then just couldn't be bothered to do the interior, but that's just my opinion. Feel free to disagree. I just think I'd much rather have that IPD C30's interior. This is the most reasonably priced car on this list, as your £6,000 will get you a model with around 70 to 80,000 miles on the clock, and a high mileage model will set you back just £2,500. One key point about this car, and more specifically the engine, is the fact that it's incredibly reliable. Forums are full of owners singing the engine's praises for being a perfect balance of torque and reliability, and I couldn't really find any significant common issues with the mechanicals of the car. One point to note, however, is that all that torque hitting the front tyres does make them susceptible to early wear, with one owner in particular mentioning having to replace his tyres twice annually. A great car to start off this list and a personal favourite in terms of shape. I'm a petrol guy, so I'd probably go for a T5 engine instead, but can definitely appreciate this quick diesel with amazing economy and reliability. At number 4 we have the W212 Mercedes-Benz E350, which is a 3 litre V6 which puts out 261 brake horsepower, 620 Nm of torque and does 0 to 60 in 6 seconds. So despite that hefty torque figure, not actually that much quicker than the Volvo. It does, however, also manage 45 miles per gallon, which is insane for those kinds of figures. This is the 4th generation of the E-Class range of executive cars and was produced between 2009 to 2016, coming as either a saloon or an estate. There are also coupe and convertible versions of this E-Class too, but they are named the C207 model instead, as they are based on the W204 C-Class platform instead, and replace the CLK class models. The W212 design is supposed to hark back somewhat to the historic ponton Mercedes models of the 1950s, with the bulging rear wheel arches in particular being a telling sign. It's also slightly more angular than previous generations, marking a shift in the design language at Mercedes, something they've carried on through to today's models to some extent. The reason why you go for this Merc perk is the interior, far more luxurious and executive than any other car on this list, with some technical features that were well ahead of its time. Though this video is focused on diesel specifically, it's important to note that this generation marked the first E63 AMG, which also came as a saloon or estate, just as they do today. They're stunning cars and still fetch a decent price today, as you can get a good model for around £15,000. Bringing us back down to earth though, you can pick up a 2011 E350 with around 100 to 150,000 miles on the clock for your £6,000, but prices go as low as £4,500 if you're willing to go for one of the slightly less powerful E350s that put out around 30 brake horsepower less. In terms of reliability, the 4th generation E-Class was actually an attempt by Mercedes to restore their image as a quality manufacturer, as previous models had reliability issues. Because of this, similar to the C30, there aren't really any mechanical common problems that I could find from checking both reviews and owners' forums, and there are some E350s that have done well over 200,000 miles as a testament to that. Instead, electrics seem to be a slight issue. Though they are generally okay, the E-Class is still a complex car, so electrical issues can happen and are not always cheap to sort out. Early diesel models of the E-Class were renowned for fuel injector issues, but most would have already been replaced under warranty. Worth checking though, as it's not a cheap fix. All in all, a strong contender for this list. 6-second 0 to 60, luxury interior, decent reliability, and great fuel economy. On to the top 3 now, and in third we have the first generation Jaguar XF Luxury, which hosts a 3-litre turbo diesel V6 which puts out 271 brake horsepower, 600 Nm of torque, and does 0 to 60 in 5.9 seconds. Sub 6 seconds 0 to 60, but still insane economy too, with 42 miles per gallon. That's so strong for the performance. The XF was introduced in 2007 to replace the S-Type, which I actually mentioned in my previous video, and was designed by Ian Callum, the man responsible for designing cars like the Aston Martin Vanquish and DB7, the Nissan R390, Ford RS200, etc, etc, etc. He's also most recently overseen the design of numerous Jaguars, including the F-Type, F-Pace and I-Pace, so the guy knows how to design a vehicle. That certainly shows with the XF, as it's actually quite a good looking executive saloon, while simultaneously being very much fit for purpose, as the whole car body was developed using computational fluid dynamics, which basically is a fancy way of making the car super aerodynamic before even using a wind tunnel. A 2010 model with around 100,000 miles on the clock in the S Premium luxury trim will cost you £6,000, and if you're willing to go higher on the mileage, you can get one with around 160,000 miles for £5,000. When it comes to reliability, owners of the XF do suggest that it's generally a dependable car. It even has a 92.5% average score for reliability from the Auto Express owners survey. Driver power, which is pretty strong. Points to be aware of are the electrics however, as I saw a couple of posts about people unable to open their fuel filler caps or boots. It would certainly be an issue if suddenly you couldn't put diesel in your tank. Doesn't matter if the engine is reliable if it hasn't got any fuel in it. I had to include the XF in this video as it's a good competitor for the Mercedes. If I was choosing between the two, I'd have the XF simply because it seems a little bit more stylish in my opinion, and also appears slightly rarer than the Merc on UK roads. Taking second on this list is the first generation Audi A5 with the 3-litre TDI V6, which puts out 236 brake horsepower and 500 Nm of torque, and thanks to its all-wheel drive layout, does 0 to 60 in just 5.7 seconds, which is properly quick for under £6,000. It matches the Jag 2 with the 42 mpg fuel economy figure. It's classed as a compact executive coupe, which is a style of car Audi hadn't made since the Audi A5, which ended production in 1996. The design was based on the new Volare Quattro concept car, which sort of looks like a cross between the A5 and the second generation Audi TT. When it was released in 2007, it was only available as the coupe, and the convertible followed in 2009. I personally am more of a fan of the coupe, as I think it's ultimately just a better looking car without the soft top convertible roof, but that's just my opinion. That is, however, backed up by the designer of the car, Walter de Silva, suggesting that the coupe is his most beautiful design ever, and that's coming from a man that designed the Audi R8 Mark I, numerous Alfa Romeos, and 2 Lamborghini concept cars. He must really love the A5. It was praised by automotive press not only for its design but also its build quality, performance and all-wheel drive system, and is considered to be an excellent car all round. I know this video is about diesels, but if I could have any A5 it would 100% be the RS5. Such a stunning looking machine. £6,000 will get you a 2007 model with around 80 to 100,000 miles on the clock, or a more highly specced and more recent example with just over 100,000 miles. The very high mileage examples start around £3,500, which again is a lot of performance for not that much money. Now, I've mentioned that this car has been praised for its build quality, and owners forums are full of very happy individuals when it comes to reliability. A few owners seem to have had minor issues, but repair bills don't seem to have been more than a few £100s, and again, I can't find any particularly common issues. Instead, owners have a couple of gripes with the car, such as the fact that the rear seats are quite uncomfortable and small, so not ideal for long journeys, and due to the windows being frameless, in icy cold weather they can get stuck to the car, making it difficult to get in, and also meaning that you don't get to flex on other motorists who don't have all-wheel drive in snowy or icy conditions. But that's just a very niche issue. It's no secret that I'm an Audi fan, and I like the A5 quite a lot. It's a good looking car with decent reliability, and it's a quattro. Normally that would make it my favourite car on the list, but it's actually the car taking the top spot that really does it for me. Taking the top spot, we have the E90 series BMW 335d M Sport, which is a 3-litre twin turbocharged 6-cylinder engine that puts out 281 brake horsepower, 580 Nm of torque, and does 0 to 60 in around 5.7 seconds, matching the Audi on performance but given the top spot thanks to those brake horsepower and torque figures. It also matches the Audi and Jag on fuel economy at 42 miles per gallon. Just for your reference, the 335i petrol car does 0 to 60 only slightly quicker at 5.3 seconds, but will get you 31 miles per gallon at best, meaning you'll be emptying a tank in 514 miles in the 335i and 697 miles in the 335d. The E90 is the 5th generation of 3 Series and has received numerous awards for being a great all-round car, but the 335d specifically won the 2011 Diesel Car of the Year award from the Diesel Driver magazine's readers, having received just under 30% of the vote. If a bunch of diesel fanatics like the car, it's gotta be pretty good. The 335d comes in coupe, saloon and estate variants, but it doesn't come as a convertible, which I'd say is actually the best looking of all the E90 body shapes, so that's a shame. The coupe is still very good looking too, and on a side note, I actually reckon it's one of the 3 Series that we'll look back on favourably in the future, due to the E92 M3 being so popular. Not to mention the fact that seemingly every 3 Series generation seems to reach classic status at some point. Though it wasn't the 335d specifically, the E90 shape has been quite successful in motorsports too, with the 320SI winning the World Touring Car Championship in 2006 and 2007, as well as the 2009 British Touring Car Championship. What's key as well is the fact that a lot of power and torque can be made from the 335d engine with the right mapping, with one owner mentioning getting 350 brake horsepower, 650 Nm of torque, and a sub 5 seconds 0 to 60 time. You'll get a 2008 M Sport with around 100,000 miles for £6,000, or a non-M Sport with around 90,000 miles on the clock. £3,500 would be the minimum price for any 335d, but you're looking at a lot of miles. And with all this car's prowess comes the sad part, it's not as reliable as other cars on this list. With age often comes a few common problems, one of which is leaking charge air lines, another is boost leaks from the turbos, and another is the diesel particulate filter, which is easily a £500 part, so it could be an expensive repair. On top of that, because of how good these cars can be when they've been remapped, be careful to buy one that hasn't been modified poorly in some way that leads to early wear on the engine. That said, many owners have never had any issues with the car and praise its reliability, so take everything you read and hear at your own risk. All in all, a great looking car and insanely quick for the price. However, I would caution any potential buyers to get a proper pre-purchase inspection from someone who knows the E90s very well. These are popular cars and there are numerous garages with a lot of knowledge on them, so it shouldn't be difficult to find someone to help. Either way, well worth the top spot on this list in my opinion. So in this video I've walked you through the top 5 cheap, fast and economical diesel cars that you can buy for less than £6,000. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe for more weekly car videos, but as always, thank you very much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.